Sacha Baron Cohen brings his Borat character back to screens, and just in time.
I hope quarantine never ends.
Hey guys, it's Sean O'Connell, the managing editor here at CinemaBlend, with a review for the new film Borat Subsequent Moviefilm, or as most people are going to call it, Borat 2. Sacha Baron Cohen is bringing this character back to the screen for the first time in many, many years. Of course, he made a huge splash with Borat by provoking Americans and getting underneath the skin and confronting them with some of their uncomfortable honesty in the previous Borat film.
Very nice.
He's figured out a way to bring the character back just in time for the election cycle. So we're going to get into all the reasons why I think you should be checking out Borat as soon as it hits streaming services on Friday. But before we get into the review, do me a favor, go down, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, because we're posting videos like this all the time on CinemaBlend's YouTube page, and I want to make sure that you guys come and watch every single one of them.
I go to America!
First and foremost, this is a comedy, and I am here to tell you that the movie is very, very funny. The character of Borat is still really shocking, and the way that Sacha Baron Cohen uses him to get laughs still has a lot of juice in it. And that's what you really want to determine whether it's worth sitting down for a 90-minute comedy, is how often is it going to make you laugh. This one made me belly laugh more than any film that I've seen this year or in a really long time. And it's so, you've seen some tweets come out from noted comedians like Seth Rogen and Judd Apatow, who are saying ahead of time that they're like stunned at how funny Borat 2 is. And I have to weigh in and agree with them, because I just thought it was screamingly funny. There are a number of scenes in this movie that push the envelope and go to places that you don't expect him to go to. And I was both shocked and stunned that he was getting a lot of the footage that he was able to get, but also just laughing at the situations and the scenarios that he has created in the Borat character to kind of make fun of himself, to make fun of the people that he's putting in the movie, and to make fun of our society and culture as a whole. I have to single out the actress. Her name is Maria Bakalova. She is playing in the movie Borat's daughter, and she has to come over to America with him because his mission in the film, as bizarre as this sounds, is to present a gift to Vice President Mike Pence, so that America will not be mad at the nation of Kazakhstan, where Borat's from, because of the events of the first movie. He's trying to essentially apologize and get back in America's good graces.
I'm here to give my daughter as a gift to someone close to the throne.
And Maria Bakalova is a complete revelation as a comedian that's shoulder to shoulder with Sacha Baron Cohen. I've never seen her in anything before. I hope that she gets a lot of work coming out of this, because she is incredibly funny. She's great at improv. She has to be in a number of situations where she's responding to people and carrying awkward situations on her own, including a very revealing scene that is getting a ton of buzz already, which is the fake interview that she did with Rudy Giuliani. You can read about that on CinemaBlend as well too, including Giuliani's response to the fact that he's been set up for this elaborate prank by Sacha Baron Cohen and Maria Bakalova. So you will want to go into this movie not just to see what Cohen does with Borat, but to see this new actress who is, again, incredibly gifted and really made me laugh out loud multiple times through the course of this movie. It is worth noting, too, that sadly, the humor and the approach of the Borat films is still pretty relevant, because we haven't changed as a society or as a culture since the first time he tried to do this. A lot of the humor that comes from Borat is the fact that he encourages people to do something that would be really, really embarrassing, or admit stuff about themselves that they wouldn't normally do on camera, and yet he figures out ways to get them to be racist or misogynistic for the benefit of what he sees as a punchline, but it's really turning the joke back on the people.
What is more dangerous, this virus or the Democrats?
Democrats.
But throughout this one, while he still does that multiple times and puts what you would assume is like a spotlight of shame on people who shouldn't hold such ignorant beliefs, he also finds some ways through the character of the daughter to bring out some real emotion from people and to give you some hope that not everybody in America, thank God, is as biased or as one-sided as you think the Borat character would paint them to be. In one totally surreal situation, he leaves his daughter with a woman who is advertised as a babysitter. The babysitter does not expect to get a fully grown, they call her 15 years old in the movie, she's clearly much older than that, does not expect to have a teenage girl to have to watch for the course of the day. And their interactions with the daughter playing up all the stuff that her father has taught her, the babysitter keeps trying to tell her, like, that's not how the world is.
Your daddy has a lot to learn.
My daddy is the smartest person in the whole flat world.
It's a sweet sort of grounding and centering of like, oh yeah, okay, good. Not all people are horrible, and we can't all be a punchline at Borat's expense. But there's still plenty of people who fall victim to the pranks that he sets up and the bait that he just dangles in front of them that with very little prompting or prodding, he basically wants them to say truly awful things on camera. And most people, sadly, still to this day are willing to come out and say the shocking and saddening and horrible things that he anticipates that they're going to say, and they willingly do it, and then he puts them into the comedy to get a laugh, but also a really uncomfortable sort of like groan, like, oh gosh, are we honestly watching this? So, you know, it's relevant that he's bringing Borat back because that concept hasn't necessarily played itself out, and you'll find yourself sort of laughing and cringing just the way that he wants you to throughout the course of the film. Now, I'm praising this movie, I know, and it deserves all the praise. It's definitely worth your time. I'm gonna ding it for a couple of things, namely the loose structure. Like, this isn't necessarily a movie. There's a plot, for sure, but again, it's Borat trying to give his daughter away to any political leader that will curry some favor with Donald Trump. So you follow it along essentially from, like, scenario to scenario. Some of them work much better than the others do. Some are placeholders, and so that loose structure can be a bit of a detriment to the overall watching of the film. If you don't think that a sequence is connecting, it might last longer than you anticipated. The ones that are really, really funny tend to go by quickly, and then you kind of wait for the next one to come around. Also, you have to acknowledge the fact, and Sacha Baron Cohen acknowledges this fact as well too, that the shock value of the Borat character is not as prevalent as it was in the first film. Like, you watched the first movie and you couldn't wait to figure out what type of scenarios he was going to sneak his way into. They address pretty quickly up front in this movie that he can't be Borat anymore on the streets of America, because the minute he shows up, people want to get their picture with him or they want to get an autograph because they just know the Sacha Baron Cohen character at this point. He's become a pop culture, maybe not icon, that's probably too strong of a word, but he's relevant. People know exactly who he is. So Borat then has to disguise himself, which means it's Sacha Baron Cohen disguised as Borat, disguised as someone else. And while the shock value of the character is a little bit faded, seeing the different ways that Sacha Baron Cohen can still figure out ways to trick gullible Americans is effective. And so for that reason, I'm going to give a Borat Subsequent Moviefilm 4 stars out of 5. It is, without question, one of the funniest things I've seen this year or in a while. I think it's a really good time to bring the character back. I'm glad that Sacha Baron Cohen figured out new ways to bring Borat back. I cannot say enough great things about his new co-star. I think we're going to be paying attention to her. She steals so many of the scenes, and honestly, the bulk of the movie would not work if she wasn't as good as she is. So it was great that Sacha Baron Cohen found somebody who can go toe-to-toe with him. I completely recommend that you check this out. The minute that it hits streaming, it'll be one of the funniest things that you see this year and will be a highly entertaining thing for you to watch all weekend long. Once you see Borat, come back and tell me whether it worked for you. Let me know if you think that it is as funny as I thought it was, or whether you think the shtick has sort of played itself out. While you're down in the comments giving your own reviews to Borat 2, I want you to also hit subscribe, turn on new notifications, and then that way every time we post a new review here, you can come over and watch it right away.